This episode of The Breakfast Dish is brought to you by Alberta Association of Optometrists, proudly celebrating a century of caring for Albertans. It happens. Many people don't call their optometrists first for urgent eye care when they need it. From spring cleaning mishaps to winter eye infections, if you or your family have an eye emergency, doctors of optometry are trained to diagnose, treat, and prescribe medications. No referral necessary. And just a reminder, Alberta health coverage is available towards your urgent eye care appointment. To find an optometrist in your area, visit optometrists.ab.ca. The Alberta Association of Optometrists represents almost 800 doctors of optometry in over 80 communities across the province. Members are highly trained, regulated health professionals who provide primary eye health and vision care to Albertans. Learn more at optometrists.ab.ca.
Tell me your dreams over bacon and eggs. We'll share a laugh and a story and even a wish on the breakfast dish.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 50-something of The Breakfast Dish. This podcast... 57. Let's dance, Griffin. 57. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 57 of The Breakfast Dish, a podcast that I, Karen Johnson-Diamond, co-host with my son, Griffin Cork. Hi, Griffin, my son.
Hi.
How are you, son?
Hi, this is Griffin Cork, big businessman. I have some Breakfast Dish grievances to air. Number one, I was listening, or rather... I was approached by someone who listens to our podcast, and they listened to, I want to say, Bronwyn Steinberg's episode, whenever the second iteration of Denise came up. Oh. And they listened to it because they know Bronwyn, and that's the only episode they listened to. And they went, hey, that Denise thing, what the hell was that? So what I realize is we've structured this podcast in that it doesn't have to be listened in a serial format. They're kind of standalone things, so we have to be very careful about giving context to previous jokes, because the person was concerned.
I'm going to give context to the previous jokes. Sometimes.
Also give context to Let's Dance.
No, because you'll cut that part out. Sometimes, because it's stay away from each other times, sort of, still. We are still recording this podcast virtually over the interwebs. And we imagine how great it would be if we were in a restaurant, actually in front of each other, having some bacon and eggs in front of each other. And so when I choose to imagine that I'm in a restaurant with someone instead of on my computer in my messy office, then Griffin plays the part of Denise, the waitress of that restaurant.
It's tough because Denise had this whole lore that she could control time, but she was also we didn't do enough explaining it. It kind of came out of nowhere.
It's okay. We're going to meet her now because I have two guests that have joined me here. Yeah. Okay. There's a beautiful restaurant in downtown Calgary.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a great restaurant. It's called Karen's Favorite Restaurant, and they serve these great breakfasts. And my two guests today are Caleigh and Cris Derksen, and they're sitting across from me in my booth, and we've been sitting here for 20 seconds, and no one has asked us if we want anything, Denise.
Just a reminder to all of our Breakfast Dish listeners, we rely on you to update the wiki and check if that is actually what we named the restaurant.
No, it isn't. But today, this is a different restaurant. Denise has more than one restaurant. Hi, Caleigh.
Chris. I'm Denise. Would you like coffee?
Yes.
Great. That's because that's literally the only option. I'm very glad. All right, Chris, anything for you?
Definitely more coffee.
Outstanding.
You have other things besides coffee, don't you, Denise?
Nope, gotta go.
Denise is a really bad waitress, but...
Hey, this is a small restaurant. What the hell?
Oh, sorry. You can hear me still say that.
Of course.
Caleigh and Chris, thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Dish. And so your day so far, we're recording this on a Thursday, and it's 11:12 in the morning. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is terrible, 10 is great. Caleigh, how's your day been so far?
Today, my day's been a 10, I would say. I've had a great day. I haven't done too much, which is always great, in my opinion. I'm gathering my energies, is very important and enjoyable work. I woke up and walked my dog and made coffee, watched a YouTube video, and came to the restaurant to get more coffee from Denise.
Oh, Caleigh, I'm so glad.
There's actually no dogs allowed in here, but I'll let it slide.
No,
and that's fine.
this dog is welcome. This dog's totally welcome. Cris, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your day like so far?
I am transporting live from Toronto, so we're a little bit behind you folks. Ahead of you folks, and a little bit more has happened in the day, and I'm not even going to give it a number. It's just like not a great day, but I'm super stoked to be distracted with you folks over coffee and some La Croix.
Wait, what's La Croix? Oh, that's sparkling water, right? Denise, we need 3 of those, please.
You can't bring outside drinks in here. I think that's a great way to put this podcast. Is if anything else, it's a distraction, and I love that.
It's true. And plus, Cris, if you did give us a number, it would be two numbers different from Alberta anyway. If you're in Toronto, so we would wrongly think that your day was worse or better than it is because of the time difference, because of the rating difference.
Although Calgary does have really great breakfasts. It's one of me and my wife's favorite part of Calgary.
Whoa!
OEB and there's just some really, really good brunch places that we like to go to when we're there.
Because here's in case you don't know the history, but for the sake of the listeners as well, I'm a huge breakfast person. If I have to have a meeting, if somebody's out of town, whatever, I always want to go for breakfast. So I was doing this Facebook series for about 10 years called the Breakfast Series, where I would just have breakfast with someone, take a picture of them, and then talk about them on social media so people that didn't know them could know about them. So when Stay Away From Each Other time started, we decided there's got to be a way to do that still. And this is it. So we have really met you two ever, and you haven't really met us. So this is where we just get to know each other. And then we get to talk about you on social media. And yes, and apparently there's a new amazing vegan place where the OEB was in Bridgeland now that's everyone's talking about. And it is a breakfast mecca. It's a breakfast mecca. Is that the word I want?
Yeah, sure.
A breakfast bonanza? A breakfast Waterloo?
No, it's going to be breakfast bonanza, I think.
Breakfast
Waterloo.
bonanza.
Breakfast Waterloo. Isn't that Napoleon's last fight? Anyway, Caleigh, do you originally hail from Calgary?
I do.
Because I have a question, just in case you weren't. So my question is for Cris. I know, when I think of Edmonton, I've heard it's been known for shawarma and green onion cakes. And just the idea of Calgary being known for breakfast. Is there any food that either of you associate with Calgary?
I thought the Caesar came from Calgary, which is not exactly food, but it's kind of
the drink. Yeah, not the salad, the drink. I think you're right.
Not the Julius.
Yeah. And ginger beef.
Right.
Ginger beef also.
I thought that was a myth, but I don't know.
I think it's real.
I hope it is.
In my heart, it's real.
Okay, I'll take that. Caesar and ginger beef? That's not a bad city rep. I'll take that.
And Caleigh, are you based in Calgary right now?
I am.
Right. And what is Toronto known for food-wise, Cris, do you think?
It's pretty diverse. I think, it's got really good jerk king, got really good rotis.
Denise?
I've always gone, hi, sorry, this is Denise. This is me offering my Denise opinion on Toronto's food. Every time I've gone to Toronto, I've gone to a different, really excellent ramen place. So I associate ramen with Toronto, but I don't know if that's accurate.
Okay, well, what's your special today, Denise? What are we offered?
Ginger beef and Caesars, and it's 11 a.m. So go ahead. Order.
Oh, yeah.
Say it to my face. Order the combo.
Amazing. Okay, before I'm known to just want to talk about the
Karen passes out.
Weirdest thing. I'm known to talk about the weird off the topic things, but I do know that you two are involved in a very exciting topic project that I want to hear about. Napi and the Rock. Who talks first? Go. Who wants to tell? Who's most excited to tell me? Go.
Well, I've been doing it the longest. So maybe I'll go first.
That's what I was going to say.
So the Calgary Philharmonic came to me, and I'm an Indigenous cellist and composer, and they're like, we have a project, are you interested? And of course I jumped at the opportunity. And originally this is like a Away Times event. It was supposed to happen in April 2020. So right in the thick of it. So I actually finished the job on New Year's Eve. The deadline was January 1st. So a fun New Year's Eve for me. Actually, no, I did play a show live. It was good. But I finished this job in 2019. And also included is my dear friend Sunny Ray Dayrider, who is a Blackfoot composer. And he did the overture to the piece, and I was the composer for the main story of Napi and the Rock.
Amazing. Caleigh, where do you come in?
I come in like August of this year. So,
all right.
Like, there's quite a gap. It's taken a while to get it together. But, I came in to direct the film. It was originally supposed to be like, there would be the orchestra live and also the actors would be on stage live. And it would be one big performance. But we just kept postponing it, and we really just wanted to, like, at a certain point, you're like, we have to just do this.
Do the thing.
We can delay it forever, but like, we can still make a really awesome, show with it. It's just, we just have to like manage our expectations a little bit and adapt to what's going on. So, we went ahead and decided to film the orchestra and the actors kind of separate. So you have, these two actors, Marshall Vier and Corey Beaver. And because I was working with the CPO and they had like all the music orchestra stuff down, I really got to be like more of just like a theater director in the sense that I was like working with those two actors. And, making decisions about set and costumes and that kind of thing. But then we filmed it. So, we started rehearsals in August and, filmed it in October, and it came out last weekend on YouTube. It's totally free for everybody to go see. The story is really a Southern Alberta story. Like, it's really rooted in the land. I mean, it's called Napi and the Rock. The Rock being, of course, the Okotoks. Rock, if you are from Okotoks, you know this rock. My husband's from Okotoks, actually, so he's like, oh, famous town.
Okatopia.
And if you're listening not from Calgary and you're like, what is this rock? It's a really huge, giant piece of moraine that fell off in like the Ice Age probably. But what actually really happened was Napi and his younger brother, Kit Fox, kind of disrespected this rock a little bit and gone to a bunch of big antics, and the rock had to chase them all over hill and dale. And that's the story. That's the story of Napi and the Rock. I don't want to give too much away because it's, lots of stuff
Just
happens.
a little tease.
Yeah. But it's like a fun family romp. With beautiful, beautiful music. Like, I really think the music works so well for the story. Like, congrats, Chris, and also Sunny Ray. It's beautiful.
Super fun to compose. Because it is such a whimsical story and like such a funny story. It was like not very serious at all. And I gotta like make beaver tunes and gopher tunes, which is like super cool. And some other really funny sounds for kids and adults alike.
I always have this question for composers, if there is a difference in is there a synapse that went off in your brain when you found out that it was going to go from live to film? If there's something you would have tweaked, like, do you approach composing for something live or something filmed, like a film score? Do you approach that differently, or was it like it's the music? Like, how do you feel?
Those are two very different like forms for me, and I do work in both. But we're with an orchestra, so it's like a pretty straightforward kind of delivery that one must make with an orchestra, as they can only, they don't have all the synth capabilities that I like to use when I do film work.
Ooh, synth. Yeah, Chris. All right.
Yeah, it was like, I was really writing to the story of Napi and the Rock and trying to make that work. And like, also because it was such a long time between like the first iteration and now, it was super exciting. We figured out together like the reorchestration. I had to like rearrange it for a smaller group because of COVID restrictions and COVID rules. And then, I think having it filmed, and originally it was only going to be one actor. That was always a problem for me because the story really has two. Having it and seeing it, it really brought it all to life. And like, it's really the cutest thing you can do on Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm. I want to say that the Beaver song is my favorite.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's pretty cute.
It's awesome.
I want you to release like a what do you call it? Soundtrack that people can buy, but it has to be called Beaver Tunes and Gopher Tunes. Beaver Tunes and Gopher Tunes and Little Lambsy Divey.
Okay, hold on. You can't start writing so.
Come on. There's a composer here. I'm auditioning with my writing skills. You worked with Caleigh James, am I right? Did he write the script for the show?
He wrote iterations. He definitely wrote like the main thing, but there's a lot of woodshedding. Speaking about beavers, there's a lot of woodshedding that happened in the process in 2019. Like, how do we make a story that makes sense for orchestra and not just a theater show? Because I think at the beginning it was kind of more of a theater show, but that's not how an orchestra can like deliver properly. So there's a lot of like rewrites that I got involved in. And the Obi-Wan joke was mine.
Okay.
That's a spoiler. That's totally going to be a spoiler.
But there's like, there's definitely like a lot. And like, this happens with almost every project, except like when you're nearing the deadline and things aren't coming to place, people just like scramble to make things happen. And that's what originally happened with this one. And but then I got flipped back over to making Treaty 7 Folks. But honestly, the script kind of stayed the same from when I was woodshedded.
Woodchuck. That's such a good word.
There's
How
some
much wood can a woodchuck? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish that.
I was going to do another rhyme.
No, please finish. I can't wait for you to finish that.
How much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? There's a second part. I don't know what it is.
There's a second part?
Yeah, it's like a woodchuck could chuck lots and lots of wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood, something like that.
Lose the tongue twister aspect. Lots and holy crap, a lot of wood.
I just bring out a lot of childhood rhymes. I'll wait for more opportunities.
She heard Gopher Tunes and she went, finally. This is going to be my episode.
No, the reason I asked about Telly is because my background with Caleigh James is working at Quest Theatre, so he does have a lot of TYA experience as well. And Marshall is on every screen everywhere right now. Last Christmas, because he filmed for Christmas Carol and he filmed for, Griffin, what's the...
Christmas Carol, A Drag Story.
And now this, and a couple of podcasts, and a couple of live play readings. And I was just talking about him because we're both doing Christmas Carol right now at Theatre Calgary. We're in two separate casts. So... we get to sit out and watch do their work, and they get to sit and watch us. And watching Marshall just blows my mind because they have so much range. And if you saw Marshall's Christmas present last year, which was beautiful Mavis von Treese in this amazing Christmas tree dress on a 7-foot tall moving thing, and then to see them play this. Just play so dark and sad in this version. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. I'd just like to talk about how much Marshall's great. Can we just say that?
We love Marshall. Marshall is everywhere and everything.
Marshall. And he's a U of L grad, am I right?
That's right.
I'm a big fan of the University of Lethbridge. Let that be known. This episode is brought to you by Park Power, your friendly local utilities provider in Alberta, offering internet, electricity, and natural gas with low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities.
I need all of those things, and I'm in Alberta.
Hey!
Picture this.
What a coincidence. In Alberta, you get to choose who to buy your internet, electricity, and natural gas from. Park Power has low overhead, which in turn allows them to offer low competitive rates.
That's what I want. I want low rates. We're all tight for cash.
Yeah, and you're in your first apartment, so seriously, you should be looking at Park Power.
Don't scold me on the ad.
Reach out for a no obligations comparison by emailing estimates at parkpower.ca. If you decide to switch, it's easy. It's really just a change to your billing, and you can feel good knowing that you're helping to give back to our communities with your utilities bills. Learn more at parkpower.ca.
There was a whole bunch of like really gorgeous like panning shots of the whole orchestra. Caleigh, was that also did you also have a hand in that in terms of like when the musicians are shown and what angles and whatnot?
No.
Oh. So you're mostly focused on the stage stuff.
Yeah, we worked with there's a film company called DDG, and I did have a tiny hand. I got to pick the lights for the orchestra.
Good.
So I did the lighting, and I was pretty pleased because I really wanted to. I was like, can I light the organ? Like, I want to put some lights on that organ. Like, it's so beautiful. And so that part I did, but I didn't. No, that was DDG.
Yeah, the CPO has their own crew that they've been working with for the whole pandy.
I really like it when for some reason I view I would say the Calgary Philharmonic and the I would say Calgary Opera as companies that don't do a lot of co-productions, only just because they're sometimes crossing those mediums are difficult for specific shows. So when Calgary Opera and Ghost River, Old Trout. Old Trout
for the Ghost Opera?
Yeah. Those kind of team-ups are really cool, I find, is exploring something narrative with such a large musical background.
Well, Griffin did a show with the CPO 150 years ago. I know he's only 25, but I think you were about
150 years ago.
8 or 9.
Denise is ageless.
And I bet it's somewhat, I don't know if it's at all somewhat similar, but he did a show with Dean Barham and Jonathan Love called Paintbrush for Piccolo, where the orchestra was the focus. It was a teaching kids about what they can hear, all the different instruments, etc., in the middle of this story about piccolo and a paintbrush. And so in my mind, I always just sort of described it as kind of like the Peter and the Wolf sort of thing, where it's fun to figure out which sound that instrument's making, etc., etc. Is that sort of when you say beaver sounds and gopher sounds?
Yeah, I 1000% riffed off Peter and the Wolf compositionally because, and also within Peter and the Wolf, it's not necessarily all it's not underscore,
Yeah.
It's again going back to movie and film and theater. I write for theater too, and so when you write for a symphony, it's a little bit harder to do a lot of underscore. There's a lot of them; they're exciting. So I was definitely writing things in response to the words, so the music can have equal footing to the acting and to the direction.
I love that it's not, that it is its own entity, it's its own character rather than just background or underscore.
Yeah, and that's similar to Peter and the Wolf too, where words, music, words, music.
Okay, so if there's anybody out there that's never listened to Peter and the Wolf, get on it. I'll do a little version of it right now.
It's long.
Sorry, you'll do a little version of it right now.
There, see? All of my childhood is coming out in this podcast.
I am seriously impressed.
Who did the voice on Peter and the Wolf? It's somebody famous.
Yeah.
This is silly. Right. I want to say Bela Lugosi. I don't think that's who it was.
You think?
Wait, who did the voice? Who did the voice of the Grinch in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas? Feel like
this is trivia round.
Yeah, I know. It's a game show segment that we've never explored before, and I love it.
Griffin, I'm going to look it up.
From a directing standpoint, Caleigh, this is kind of a question we ask a lot on this show, just in terms of people transitioning something from live to digital or vice versa. Is there one thing that you discovered going into film, be it how close you can get the controlled perspective that you really appreciated over live, and is there one thing that you missed that like this specific show goes, this would be a lot better live? Like, are those like a boon and a curse? That's not the right word, but do you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think some things that I really like about film is how precisely you can direct the audience's gaze.
Yep.
There's like some really cool close-up shots of like, action happening with hands and, stuff like that. Where you can, you're like, okay, you're now looking at this hand moving this thing so that you know that it's important.
Yeah, right.
And I think too, like, being able to have that precision with the frame and then also be able to like cut and do it again until like it's perfect or as close to perfect as we can get.
No, perfect.
Nobody's perfect, of
I
course.
Love it.
That's really cool too. And you can, it's sometimes a note is like exactly the same way, but tilt your head slightly to the left. And that's all you need to whatever convey and you can get really minute and granular with those kinds of like gestures and that sort of thing. Whereas for theater, depending on the space that you're working in, sometimes if you're working in a big house, you need to make that gesture not just like a small little movement, but a big like wide, so it can be seen.
Yeah.
There's also, I think specifically for this project, there's a lot of running that happens, and I don't want to speak for Marshall and Corey, but I think they appreciated not having to do that running all in one go every day for like 3 weeks or whatever a show would be,
Right.
Because it's a lot. So there's definitely pros and cons, like to any. Not even pros and cons, but just like features, or what did you say? Boons and curses. There's a couple.
Yeah, that sounds a lot more scary than I wanted to. And here's a quest.
Jumping in here to say, I said Bela Lugosi. I was close because it was Boris Karloff who narrated The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, who is not at all the same person who narrated Peter and the Wolf, which was Sterling Holloway. There you go. There's your film narration history for this.
IMDb Karen's Hall of Fame.
I got 0 out of 0.
Yeah, me too.
I just feel good about putting Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff together. Caleigh, you have a pet, or perhaps more. What are they, or it?
I have 3. I have a dog and 2 cats. My dog is a pug, and it's pretty awesome.
And
so I'm pretty proud. I'm like definitely bragging that I have a pug. He is so sweet and so stubborn. And then I have 2 cats, Frank and Bill. And Senor is the dog's name.
Senor, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Senor Pug.
Yeah.
That's a restaurant. Cris, pets?
Yeah, I also have 3 pets. We have Dottie, and she's like, she's going to be 2 this December. She's a Mexican dog, like part Xolo. She's got a really long neck, and she's all black, and she's got hair.
She's got a really long neck.
She does. She's like super elegant. She just went to the dog park with her best friend who takes her to the dog park. And then we have 2 guinea pigs, Lloyd and Alfred, which is, they're getting a little old, and guinea pigs are really fragile little creatures. And we lost a guinea pig this year. And the reason I'm having a bad day is Lloyd has to get a surgery tomorrow.
Sorry, Lloyd. I'm sorry, Cris.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. But it's like, they're so small. And so putting them under is just really stressful.
Yeah.
So
I admire people that can do that, like surgery on a tiny, tiny, tiny thing.
Right?
Yeah. Especially because they deal with like 11 different anatomies every day. I'm very impressed with veterinarians.
Yeah.
And guinea pig anatomy is like very strange, and like sometimes their parts aren't in the same spot in all guinea pigs.
What?
Yeah, like when it comes to like kidney stones, he doesn't have a kidney stone. The kidney stones can be like pretty hard to get out. He's just got like a little lump on his back that we're gonna.
Lloyd. He's doing a little hunchback Lloyd until tomorrow. That's so hard though. Like it's just unbelievable when your pet has, and I feel like I've been in some rehearsals where somebody said, I'm really having a down day because my cat had to go in for surgery. And people without pets are like, really? And all the people with pets are like, Gotcha. Totally gotcha. Know where you're coming from today. Totally. My dog, whose name is Dwayne, is a Pomeranian.
It's not. His name's Max.
His name was Max. We changed it to Dwayne. And he's driving me crazy right now. So I'd be hard pressed to have sympathy for him just at this moment, because he does not believe that he can be in a room that I'm not in, and it's driving him crazy. He's screaming and yelling at me. Yeah. Okay, another rando question.
It's just in on TMZ News. Karen Johnson down from the breakfast dish hates her dog. Hard pressed to have sympathy. I'm having a tough time finding empathy today.
If you were a breakfast food, Cris, what breakfast food do you most associate your own personality with?
Oh, man. I think I'm a tater tot.
Don't even know you before today, and I so agree with you.
I like the quick fire speed of that response. Oh, tater tot.
And I just wish the listeners could have seen Chris's shoulders, because they just shook back and forth like
the tater tot shimmy.
Yeah, a little shimmy. I'm a tater tot. Caleigh, what breakfast food would you be if you were a breakfast food?
I know it's so lame. I don't know. I like French toast. So I was trying to think, like, how could I say I'm like French toast?
Yeah.
I'm like, like bread, which is normal, but then you egg, which is
crazy, which is wild.
And then it's bread, and then you dress it up.
Yeah,
that's right.
Put
a little
you
cinnamon
coat
in
it.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then it's like, is it savory? No.
Sweet and salty.
It's sweet, but egg.
Sweet but egg.
And that, I think, will go on probably my tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, you could probably just say you're French
but
toast. I don't think the French will have a problem with it. You're probably good to go.
That's exactly it. Is it savory? Is it sweet?
But egg.
So, Karen, what breakfast food would you be?
Oh my gosh, these questions never come back at us.
We don't get asked the questions a lot.
Oh, thanks. I would be. I think I would be a breakfast parfait. In the parfait glasses with granola and then yogurt and then fruit and then granola and then yogurt and fruit, because I'm unpredictable, but also sweet and bad for you. So that's.
The parfait isn't really that bad for you.
So it's true. But really, it's supposed to be like plain Greek yogurt and some organic granola, and fresh berries. But sometimes it's, a high-fat pudding yogurt that tastes like pudding and granola from a box at Safeway. But you know what? Here's my fun story about that. 1886, which is a little breakfast place that used to be in Eau Claire, but is now, oh my gosh, it's just
1886, when Greek yogurt was discovered.
It was this little house restaurant. Anyway, they had a breakfast parfait. My husband and I, it's one of the first places he took me when he was trying to convince me to move to Calgary 28 years ago. He showed off Calgary to me, and that was one of the places. And I would have breakfast parfait every single day we went. And one day I went, I'm going to try something different. And I took 2 bites of it, and I went, I don't like this. I wish I'd had the parfait. And my husband said to me, you know what? Just order it. Life's too short. Don't eat what you don't want to eat. Life's too short. And I went, okay, I will marry you then, because I love you. That's my breakfast story. Griffin, what would you be if you were a breakfast food?
God, I had all this time. I don't know if this is the right answer, but I spent too much time. I was on Skip the Dishes yesterday, and I was thinking about maybe a breakfast place to go, and I think I was on Denny's, and I saw that they called their sausages chubbies or something like that. Yep. Like they're just supposed to be small, cute little sausages, and they're called chubbies. That's all I can think about when I heard that question. And I don't think that's good for me, but I really can't shake it from my brain. I would say, I don't know, cream of wheat, but I much prefer chubbies. That's insane. How did they get away with calling it that? Sausages are already enough of a mystery. Last episode with Jordan Boma, you asked Jordan, because in our intro song, Alex Calvin says, tell me your dreams. And what she probably meant was tell me your aspirations. However, one of my new favorite segments is asking our guests, what's the last dream you had or your craziest dream that you remember? Like what you saw when you were sleeping. Yeah. Do either of you feel comfortable in sharing a dream?
Yeah, I had a really weird one, like not last night, the night before. And it was like a little bit, the setting was a little bit like Avatar. like with the cliffs in the sky. And we were like jumping off of them with a string, like one string, and somehow like floating down to the ground like in Harry Potter. And it was like super magical. And I kept on like going up and jumping off. So I'm afraid of heights too. And it was like, wow. Like, what did I take before
What
bed?
did this to me?
That's the first thing I always think is, what happened today? What did I see? Who did I talk to that's make me have this dream right now?
Who tricked me?
Yeah, exactly. Like somebody pops into your dream. Caleigh, what's the last dream you remember? Do you know?
Yeah, I had a dream also not last night, but the night before, where I come out looking like the most badass hero ever. And
There was these people jumping off the cliffs and I cut their string? I don't know, but I'm a hero.
No, okay, here it is. Me and my husband were having a picnic. He plays guitar, and he had brought 3 guitar cases to the picnic with guitars. And his back was turned, and someone came and opened one of the guitar cases, and I'm like, hey, stop that. And they're like, no, and grabbed a guitar and started running. And so I'm chasing this guy down with Sasha's guitar, and then he's like, if I can't have it, nobody can, and smashes the guitar. And I'm like, oh!
That's so metal.
And then the thief loops around, goes back in for another guitar, but as he's bent over opening the second guitar case, I like rugby tackle this guy to the ground, and I make a citizen's arrest, and we had like a little tent, and I put him in our tent and zipped him up until the authorities arrived.
Put him in the brig.
He stayed in there too.
If we had 30 more minutes on this podcast, I'd love to hear from everybody what their opinion of citizen's arrest is, because I don't know, I don't understand the complex minutia of what that is. Folks, you gotta bring only one guitar to the picnic. You can only keep track of the one. That's a great dream. Listen, I'm making a breakfast dish declaration that I want this to be a new segment in every episode. It's the best stuff. That kind of stuff is better than any kind of question I can think of.
Right. And some people, if they don't dream, like my boring husband, if you just don't have any dreams, then they can share their aspirations. But otherwise, they tell us about, 2 nights ago, I just watched a gigantic piano fall on Patrick Stewart. That was the whole dream. Just watch the piano fall on Patrick Stewart.
That's
one
of my most boring dreams.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Caleigh was a hero, and you murdered Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, where were you when I needed you, Caleigh? Poor Patrick.
I know, I could have dove and pushed him out of the way in time.
I don't know why I wasn't helping. Maybe I was zipped in a tent or something. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I already got to you.
It's too much Inception stuff going on here.
I'm the Dream Cops.
Speaking of Dream Cops, I'm the podcast cops. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm the podcast cops. Okay. And I'm here to say, to read you your podcast Miranda rights, that the Breakfast Dish is part of the Alberta Podcast Network. Locally grown, community supported. The intro music you just heard and the outro music you're about to hear has been composed by Alexandra Kalman, who is now the brain behind the new segment of our show. Karen, what else is going on this week?
I'll tell you right now that this weekend, Stage West for Kids opens at Stage West in Calgary. You can go to their website for more information and tickets at stagewestcalgary.com. And there are shows. I was just telling my mailman about this. We were having a long conversation, but he said, it seems like your job's back to normal. And I said, yeah, almost every theater in Calgary that I know of has a show happening at Christmas, and almost everyone in Edmonton as well. So I'll do a shout out to, In Wonderland at ATP and Jason Kenney's Hot Boy Summer at the Grindstone Theatre in Edmonton, which apparently if you wanted to see, you can't because it's in its 3rd holdover and it's sold out. But Jason Kenney's Hot Boy Summer, line up, see if somebody doesn't show up. That's at the Grindstone Theatre in Edmonton.
There's also like a really good, I haven't seen it yet, but it's called Bear Grease. And it's like in Edmonton and it's a riff on Grease, but like all native actors singing a mixture of like Grease songs and maybe traditionalizing them. I don't know. It looks pretty cool. And Crystal Lightning's in it. And yeah, if I were in Edmonton, that's what I would do.
The graphic design for the breakfast dish has been done by Morgan Ermter. Caleigh, Cris, thank you very much for joining us on the breakfast dish.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, of course, we'll get to some plugs. However, how we like to usually wrap up the breakfast dish is one more random question that Karen will make up right here on the spot. As she's a professional improviser, it's not planned. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
First one for Cris. If you had an orchestra that was going to write a song specifically about breakfast, what would the song be called?
Benny and the Drum.
I like that.
That's really good. That's really good. And do you have anything coming up, Cris, that you want to plug?
Give some plugs.
Yeah, so I was just in Calgary a few weeks ago working with the CPO again on a different show, a new show with Tom Jackson. So it'll be a Tom Jackson special coming out in February, again on the interwebs, and again with the Calgary Philharmonic. And then I've got a bunch of, I don't know, this one's hard because I live in Toronto, so yeah, I've got some stuff with the TSO and lots of random things, but...
If the boys were wreaking havoc and the Rock was chasing them around and trying to settle them down, what were they eating on their wreaking havoc? What were they eating for breakfast?
Apples.
Okay, is that a spoiler?
I guess you'll have to watch it and find out. Can I plug my band?
Yes.
Please plug your band.
Okay, I play bass guitar in a band called Pope Joan, and we have a gig this Friday at Dickens, 9 p.m. And then we're also playing the Palomino, the Sock Hop, December 17th. So check it out. It's a fundraiser, so you definitely want to come down, raise some money for socks and coats and that sort of thing, and see the bands.
Woo! And I'll be putting social links and website links to both of you in our podcast description, so you can check it out. I'll also, for folks who are interested, I will attach the link for Napi on the Rock, which is a co-production between Calgary Philharmonic Orchestra and Making Treaty 7. Karen, take us out.
Cris, thank you so much for being our guest on The Breakfast Dish. Caleigh, thank you so much for lighting up your Christmas tree for our time on The Breakfast Dish.
Of course.
Oh, I thought you were going to totally... Caleigh, thank you for the tree.
Griffin,
anyway,
Griffin,
bye.
Thank you for taking over when Denise completely abandoned us and we never even got to eat.
I don't know who you're talking about.
And Karen,
Denise has been dead for 11 years.
Thank you for the childhood rhymes. Skinnamarink dinky dink.
No. I will not have Skinnamarink dink in another episode.
I love you, Griffin.
We're fading now. Fade. No to editor. Fade now.
This has been The Breakfast Dish.